Where did you come from? Hi, I'm Jeff Joseph. Welcome to the world headquarters of Joseph Audio.
Hi, Jeff. Thank you so much for doing a video with us today during the coronavirus lockdown. How are
Sure.
you and Joseph Audio faring?
Well, things have been pretty quiet, as you might expect. Our dealers are closed, and so orders have been a lot less frequent, but I'm here offering support for our customers, giving them assistance with speaker placement, their parts. And we've actually had a few people who, while they're stuck at home, they've decided that now would be a really good time to have a better pair of speakers. And what we've come up with is a home trial purchase option for people. They can get in touch with me if they're interested in doing that, but it really gives you time to hear the difference in your home. So that's been working out pretty well for us. We haven't had anyone who decided that they want to send them back.
That's good. So do you offer in general, not just during the lockdown, FaceTime setup phone calls?
We're happy to do whatever we can to help people get better sound.
And what do you hear from your dealers? How are they doing?
They're quiet. We're trying to assist with whatever we can. We did have a dealer who had a customer up in Massachusetts who just got a pair of pearls. So did a little FaceTime there, as you were saying, to make sure that the wiring was correct, and got a happy email back from that customer now saying everything is excellent and he's loving his new speakers. So that's good.
That's great. You have a serious rig sitting behind you there. Can you take us on
Yes.
mini tour of the different reel-to-reels you have there and the turntables, etc.?
Yeah, sure. The off to my left, I don't know if you can see it in the shot. Been fortunate to have a few different studio machines here for playback of open reel tape. There's a pair of Otari MTR-10s. They're configured for half track. And next to them is a Sony ATR, Sony APR 5003. So I have a few different options there for studio quality playback of 15 IPS. Although those machines can also go 30 IPS, I just don't happen to own any 30 IPS tapes. That's an amazing source and really exciting to listen to. Next to that is the Kronos Pro with a Black Beauty arm on it, and the cartridge on there is a Cardis Heart. Below that is the Air K1XE preamplifier, and a VTL. There's actually a pair of VTL MB185 amplifiers. Next to that is a VPI HW40 direct drive turntable equipped with their gimbal arm with a 3D printed wand. And on that is an Audio Technica, the Art 1000 cartridge. So I've got two great turntables there. From Channel D, it's the Piccolo phono stage. And what's nice about that is, apart from it has two sets of outputs on it. One of them is set up with your conventional RIAA equalization, and the other one is set up so that I can have an unequalized feed from the turntable. And I use that with the Pure Vinyl software when I want to do digital captures of vinyl, so that I can, because Pure Vinyl does its RIAA curve in the digital domain. So that's some advantages to doing that when you're capturing vinyl. Behind the poster, there are a couple other tape decks. On top is a Revox B77. And below that is the Technics RS1500 that some of you might have seen at shows. It traveled with me from Munich to Chicago, all over, generally paired with a Doshi audio tape stage for ultimate playback fidelity.
And I see one Joseph Audio perspective behind you. Is there
Yes.
another one to create a pair there somewhere?
Yes. Yes, they generally give the best stereo imaging in pairs. So yeah, there's another one there out of the camera shot. And between the speakers, I'm running an Luxity power amplifier, the Power 2 and the Pre 2, which also has a streaming option built into it as well.
And look at all those records. But I know from our previous chats that there's even more than that.
Yes, the walls of this listening room are my record collection here, and I have a lot of records. There's probably too many records here.
What's too many records? You can never have too many records.
You can have too many records when you can't figure out what you want to hear, or you can't find the one that you want to hear. It's all alphabetized, but even still, gaining access to every corner of it is a little challenging.
And about how many records do you think you have in total in your space there?
Probably about 12,000 records.
So you use both tape, vinyl,
Yes.
and digital
Yes.
in your, I take it in your evaluation of loudspeakers. What are the different formats it give you when you're evaluating a loudspeaker or a design?
The idea is really to have the best possible version of a performance in terms of reproduction. And that could be a digital, it could be analog, it could be, an analog LP. It depends on how the music traveled and what hands were laid on it on the way there. In addition, I have recordings that I've made myself. I've actually started transferring a bunch of DAT tapes to my computer that I made 20 years ago. There are things that I learned making recordings that have been valuable insights into thinking about how the speaker ought to sound, how what kind of experience is possible when from playback.
Yeah, you are a pianist and a saxophonist, so I guess developing that ear training for music gave you another window into being a designer.
I think so. I mean, I never played those things professionally, but I certainly have had the experience of being on stage and playing as part of an ensemble or accompanying other people.
Mm. I believe there are 6 loudspeakers in your lineup currently. Is that correct?
Yeah.
If you would, give me thumbnail sketches of the top of the line Pearl, then the Perspective, then the Pulsar. Just sort of what differentiates those speakers. I know the Pulsar is a bookshelf, and the current modifications in those speakers.
All right. So the Pearl is our top of the line so far, and it incorporates everything that I've learned in terms of speaker design. It also shares. There's some trickle down technology in terms of the tweeter that we use in the Pearl is the same tweeter that we use in the Perspective and the Pulsar. So in terms of quality of parts, the caliber of parts that we use, we hold that consistent throughout that line. The idea here is to offer as much as possible of the sound of the Pearl in a smaller cabinet and in a more affordable cabinet. That's the case of the Perspective too. Of course, the Pulsar is our little mini monitor, but it really sounds like a big speaker. That was the design principle there.
We spoke before, and you told me about the modifications to the woofer that is in both the Pearl and the Perspective.
The recent changes that we made last year were to offer the graphene enhanced, the graphene coated woofers in the Pulsar and Perspective. But the changes really weren't limited to just a coating. It was actually an extensive redesign of those woofers, whole new motor system, new voice coil, and new techniques in terms of design that could be applied to them. So, more recently, we also upgraded the mid-range driver on the Pearl. So it went from being the Pearl 3 to the Pearl 20/20 graphene. And the mid-range is really I think it's the most important aspect of the speaker. It's where it'll make or break the speaker. I mean, everything counts, of course, but putting that graphene driver in and designing and uh, going back and looking at the crossover design, and it allowed us to do new things, allowed us to move forward. And that's really, it's kind of a quest. You're always looking for, how can I make it better? How can it sound more real? Again, there's technologies like in the case of the Pearl's graphene mid-range driver, uh, that really benefited from some new insights in terms of finite element analysis that allowed them to put in a whole new motor system there. And so it's not just the graphene in isolation. The graphene is amazing, but it's the whole implementation. And then when you combine it with what our crossover can get out of these drivers, I mean, it's that asymmetrical infinite slope crossover uh, allows the sound from each of these drive elements to radiate clearly throughout the room, and gives you a sense of coherence so that you're not hearing the sound being sliced into woofer mid-range tweeter or woofer tweeter. It's one coherent whole. You can't tell where the tweeter begins and where the woofer stops. So that's a tremendous advantage as well. We have a great working relationship with Seas, and they are truly one of the most advanced driver manufacturers in the world.
With these upgrades or modifications, does that change the price of the top two speakers in your line? And if so, what are those prices?
Yes, well, it brought the price of the Pearl 2020 graphene to $37,995 for the set. And in the case of the Perspective 2, they're $14,999 for the pair.
That's a really huge gap. What accounts for that huge difference in price?
Well, the cost of building the Pearl there's some internal things that we do in the crossover there that drive up the price. There are separate cabinets. Actually, there's 4 cabinets in each pair of Pearls. There's
4?
There's a separate one for the mid-range and tweeter, and it rests on top of the woofer cabinet. The woofers inside the Pearl are customized for us with the double magnet system. So it's an extremely robust motor system on that. But if you're spending that kind of money, I think you have the right to expect a speaker that can keep pace with whatever you throw at it.
Double magnet system, that's pretty unusual, isn't it?
It is. But it's what we needed for that design in order to get the kind of bass power and resolution that we wanted to hear.